Did you ever encounter batteries and energy carriers as an item in Minecraft? They are called item storages. Now, item storages are different from block storage system because in block storage system, we are utilizing block entity and its ticking mechanic. However, in items, we are not having that glorious method calls. So we have to handle things differently. In this video, we will write two different classes that will handle the empty status and the full status of item storages. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. An empty item storage, being any type of storage that you want, will implement the insert only storage. And this means that this item can only accept things. The only thing that we need to define is the variant. Now, from this point forward, there are some things that you will have all the time, and there are some things that you will have based on the type of the thing that you want to store. For time being, let's start with the general things that you should have. Public final, container, item context, we call it context, private final, the item itself, we call it empty item, private final, a function that comes from Java util function of item variant and item variant. This function will get one and convert it to another item, and we call it empty to full mapping. Basically, we give it an empty item and we give it a full item, and we say that, hey, convert this empty item to a full item. Private final, here is one of the things that will change based on the storage type, and that is the base material that should be stored. It's either energy or I don't know, fluid, or in this case, dispersion. And based on the thing, this section of the name will change from, for example, fluid, gas, or dispersion in this case. Then we want the amount. So private final, this time it's long, insertable amount. Finally, we want a list of storage views, and we call it blank view. So private final list of storage view of type dispersion variant, and we call it blank view. These are almost always there. However, for example, in case of dispersion, we may want to have an extra list of fluids, items, gases. It depends. We will take a look at that later when we defined our dispersion stack payload, because that class gives us a better idea of what we need to add to our storage system before moving forward. But I want to start with the bare minimum skeleton of everything and make it functional before moving into more complex decision making. So we go with public empty item storage for dispersion. This is the constructor. So container item context, we call it context. Then we want item, and this one is the full item. Then the dispersion, insertable dispersion, and then long insertable amount. We want to call another overload of the constructor. We give it the context. Then we want to give it a function like empty variant goes into item variant dot of full item comma empty variant dot get components patch. And here we will have a method that will fix this one in a few minutes later, or maybe another video. But for time being, I want to fix the method call with the insertable dispersion and insertable amount. So this get components patch, we will fix it when we have the empty variant handled. Then we want the other overload. So we say public empty item dispersion storage container item context a function for item variant comma item variant, and we call it empty to full mapping. Yes, a dispersion, calling it insertable dispersion, and long, we call it insertable amount. And as you see, suddenly this will fix itself. So this time we say storage preconditions dot non-negative the insertable amount. It shouldn't be negative. This dot empty item equals to context dot get item variant, and then from there get the item itself. This is the current item that we are working with. This is the empty version. And then we say this dot empty to full mapping equals to the method that we sent in. Then this dot insertable dispersion equals to insertable dispersion, this dot insertable amount equals to insertable amount, this dot blank view equals to list dot of, and here we say new blank variant view. This guy accepts two things. First, the variant, and then capacity. For the variant, we say dispersion variant dot blank. This is the blank variant, and then insertable amount. Basically, we are creating a list with the size of the amount and blank variant, okay? That's our constructors. Now remember, this is only insertable. We can't extract anything from here, because if we want to extract something from an item storage, then we should have a full version and we extract things from full version. So we have only the insert method and we want to handle that one. So we say storage preconditions dot not blank, not negative. Means that it shouldn't be negative, it shouldn't be the blank. We want the resource or whatever we called it here. Let's see, we called it variant, and then the amount is called L. What is the L? So that is the max amount, and let's convert this variant name to resource, because honestly I'm a yarn user and resource makes much more sense to me. Also, don't forget we have the amount as our base value system, so having two names as amount or two names as variant will bother us. Also, let's annotate these two as not null. After checking the amount and the resource, we say if not context.getItemVariant.is of empty item. So if we are not empty, just return a 0. Then we say if resource.is of the insertable dispersion. So if we are the same type of the variant and the max amount that we want to insert is at least the insertable amount that we want. So in other words, we can't fill an item little by little. We either convert an empty one to the full one or not do anything. And because of that, we want to make sure that we are inserting the amount that is at least equal to the max possible acceptable by the item. If that is the case, then we should handle the insertion. For that, we say item variant, we want a full version here, equals to empty to full mapping dot apply. Remember, this is a function, context dot get item variant. So we give it one item variant and the function method returns the second item variant, and here we defined it to be the empty variant dot get components batch. This is what we are giving it, and the first param is the result, so it will return the full item for us. After that, we say if context dot exchange full item comma 1 comma transaction or transaction context equals to 1, then we return insertable amount. So we inserted the whole thing and we are done with this. Otherwise, we return 0, means that we couldn't do anything. Now, let me explain this one. It's the new variant and we want one of that, and we want to use this transaction, okay? If we can't use the transaction and insert the whole amount that we want into the item, then we get a full item as 1 and we return the insertable amount. Also, it exchanges the empty version with the full version in the context. Here, context can be, I don't know, a slot inside inventory, although it won't replace it automatically. But in your hand, for example, this context.exchange, I think it will automatically replace the empty one with the full one. Just like when you click with a bucket on a block source of water, you get a full bucket. That's context.exchange. Now, the next method is getting the iterator. If you don't find it easily, you can just use Ctrl-O for insertable, and here it is, iterator. So this returns an iterator. For this, we will go with blank view.iterator. That's what we want to iterate. And yes, that should be iterator of a storage view of dispersion view. Now, what's wrong with you? Again, annotate as not null. Cool. Finally, we have the toString. Now, you can ignore this one, but I prefer to have the toString. For example, we can say empty item dispersion storage with these values. What we want to add is the context equals to plus the context. Empty item equals to plus empty item. The next piece of information is that insertable dispersion equals to plus insertable dispersion. Insertable amount equals to insertable amount. And finally, we close this with brackets and we return it as the string. This way, I have a way to give back some information for myself if I need to, I don't know, do some debugging on an item storage to see what I'm sending in and what is the amount and things like that. In the next video, I will come back and write a counterpart for this, and that is the full item storage. Have fun, everyone. Bye.